Hi, everybody, and welcome to Module 8. You made it to the last week of the class. You should be so proud of yourselves for making it this far. Congratulations to you. So let's take a walk through Module 8 together so you know how to wrap up the class and what you need to do in order to complete everything. Go ahead and click on the Modules button and then scroll down to Module 8. When you get there, you'll see our title for this module is Mass Media. So we will be continuing on with our theme of evaluating media for fallacies and assumptions and other types of things that we will need to do and add to our critical thinking toolbox. So click on the Module 8 Learning Pathway for an overview of what we will be doing this week. And you will see that in our previous module, we examined how the media and advertising affect our reasoning and often challenge our critical thinking abilities. And so this is how we explored different ideas of cognitive bias and emotional reactions, things that you've been working on in your project, final project for this class. So you got to see some examples of this at work that you can then translate into our big final project. So in our final module, we're exploring the impact of mass media on our critical thinking abilities. You'll see that there's some required readings, some module notes on mass media, a discussion on analyzing media, and of course, our final project for PowerPoint. So this is a PowerPoint. It is not a written description. And then you will see also that there are some instructions for our Smart Book quiz on Chapter 11, which we'll be covering in this last module. So go ahead and click on the Next button. And you will see the required readings for this module. You'll see that there are the notes, as I mentioned. And there are a couple of links for you to check out. Highlights of analyzing media messages, highlights of questions to consider in evaluating advertisements, and Chapter 11 in our textbook. And then there's a TED Talk for you to review on creating critical thinkers through media literacy, which I think you'll find really interesting. So go ahead and click on the Next button, and that will bring you to our module notes on mass media. And just a quick highlight of what's going on in our chapter. You'll see that there are some different themes that you'll be looking at: relationship between mass media and big business in the United States. What are some of the limitations of the news media? In what ways has the internet changed our lives? And how does media shape our perceptions of reality? So as you can see, we're just taking a deeper dive into the things we covered in Module 7, and we're exploring and adding on to those collective ideas. So once you scroll down, you're going to click on the Next button, and you will see our discussion on analyzing media. So you've now read the chapters and looked at the resources, so you're ready to post your discussion. As usual, you will be answering one of the following questions. Again, as I sort of mentioned a few times at the beginning of the class, just for your own benefit, if you're keeping a journal, you might want to answer all the questions in your journal, but for our discussion, you just need to answer one question. You'll see that some of the questions involve some research into corporations and some analysis of news stories, selecting a current event that's going on and using the 10-point strategy that you are familiar with. You can also look at social networking sites. So there's really a lot here for you to dive deeper into. So let's click the next button, and this will bring you to some instructions for our final project part for the PowerPoint. So I left some notes for you if you completed the part 3 on how to move forward. And if you haven't done so already, you can go ahead and review those notes again to see what you'll be doing in our final project. But so you can see here that you are going to have the opportunity to convince your audience or market your critical thinking strategy for the hardship that you chose and have been working with throughout this entire term. And now we're going to be putting this into a PowerPoint presentation. So if it's a really personal issue, and I know some of you did discuss some very personal issues, think of marketing as persuasion and imagine convincing an audience, a partner, a loved one, a friend, a neighbor of your solution using the most compelling argument or marketing technique. So you will be able to pull together everything you've done during parts 1, 2, and 3 and condense those lessons into a concise, compelling, and marketable way, avoiding those common pitfalls of advertising. So if you scroll down, you'll see what goes on each slide. Number 1, identify the best strategy for tackling your challenge. Number 2, identify the reason this is the best strategy. Number 3, effectively employ statistics to support your argument. So you'll be using your research skills. Effectively utilize a poll to support your argument. Identify at least 3 characteristics of a good critical thinker. Identify at least 3 of the more common barriers that most apply to you. Address the role of emotion in your approach to your hardship. Address whether faith or spirituality played a role. Identify 2 critical thinking strategy. And identify 3 of the most effective strategies for avoiding fallacies. And then the final slide will be your APA formatted references. So you can see here that if you click on view a sample presentation, then you will see how that looks once it's all put together. And so once you have clicked there, you will get an overview of what the challenge was for this sample presentation, and then what this sample student put on each slide in relation to that. You'll notice here that there are 10 slides with various things that go on each slide as we just went over. And this sample can help you identify some of the things that you might put on your slides. And then your final 11th slide will be your reference page. So it's really important to take a look at that sample. I think that'll really help you out. But of course, if you're having any issues or problems, you can contact me and I would be happy to help you. So if you keep scrolling down, you'll see how you'll be evaluated, that this accounts for 15% of your overall course grade. And then you will see the rubric. So that will give you a way to go through and make sure that you've hit all of the target points. And I've recently learned of another strategy that you can use to make sure that your writing has hit all the target areas, and that is to put your work into ChatGPT, put the rubric into ChatGPT, and then ask ChatGPT to make sure that you have hit all of the points on the rubric. So that's a new strategy that college students are using. You might find that helpful, or you can avoid it altogether if you're not really into AI yet. But I wanted to just mention that as a potential way to make sure you haven't missed anything. So if you click on the next button at the very bottom of that rubric, you'll see that it brings you to the instructions for our SmartBook quiz for Chapter 11. And you should be very familiar with these SmartBook quizzes. And of course, this activity aligns with Module 8.-03, Construct Critical Thinking Strategies for Coping with Adversity. And then if you click the next button, you will, of course, see a link to Chapter 11 on mass media. And that pretty much sums up Module 8 for you, what we will be doing during this final week, and how we will bring everything together for that final project. And this is really, the final project is a great toolkit for you to use in your future as you're facing perhaps another hardship or challenge. You can take these same approaches that you took in this class in analyzing that hardship. And you may even find it useful to walk yourself through this type of PowerPoint, or even just write it down in your journal as you move forward in your life. I have really enjoyed our time together, and I'm glad that we have taken this journey. As always, reach out if you have any questions, and have a great week.